What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. The mysterious death of Nolan Wells and the newest conspiracy. So, do you guys remember the video that was going around of the fight that was happening on an island in the sand, to where there was a kid who was a black kid being tossed around and ended up face down in the sand, surrounded by a bunch of white guys? There was allegations out specifically that was possibly Nolan Wells, and that was possibly Warren and Wyatt and other individuals. Nobody knows for certain, right? This is all speculation. This is all based off of a conspiracy. Now, the information that we do know specifically is the fact that there's already been statements made by Warren and all the rest of the individuals who were allegedly friends with Nolan Wells. And these statements that were made were supported through some form of a lie detector test, according to Officer Tatum. Here's the issue. What if Warren and Wyatt and all his friends are telling the truth about Nolan not getting on the boat? What if they are 100% telling the truth? But what if they're not telling you is the fact that when they left the island and Nolan chose to stay behind, that they didn't go back out there later on that night to check on Nolan? Who is to say that some of the friends didn't go back out to the island at, say, 8, 9, 10 o'clock? Because remember, they were supposed to go out there to go watch the fireworks. Who is to say they didn't return back out to the island to find Nolan Wells, and Nolan Wells found them and he was pissed off because they left him without a phone, they left him without water, they left him without food. And remember, they left at around 4 o'clock. In Texas heat or in Mississippi heat and humidity, you're talking about, what, 6 hours of being out there with no food, no water, no phone, can't get transportation? Who is to say that Nolan Wells wasn't irate? Who is to say that he didn't engage with some of the friends that went back out there? And a verbal altercation transitioned to a physical altercation. And who is to say that actually isn't Nolan Wells being tossed around in the sand on that video that we saw? And who is to say that Nolan Wells didn't die from this specific altercation? You know, the reality of the situation is the throat is missing, allegedly the lungs are missing, and allegedly the stomach is missing. So I made a video talking about alcohol boarding. What about if they stuffed sand down his mouth and his throat and he choked on it and died and aspirated from that? You see, the reality of the situation, all of this could have occurred, and then they could have taken the body or left the body there, went back to the mainland, and then initiated a phone call to Nolan Wells' mother saying that, hey, Nolan didn't come home with us. We don't know where he is. He's supposedly with Katie. We're going to call the Coast Guard to figure it out. See, I made a comment about this earlier in a couple videos that I made. I said, Warren went from being okay with leaving Nolan Wells on the island to all of a sudden, out of the blue, feeling this impending doom that he needed to contact the Coast Guard after 7 hours. And there was no correlation or data or reasons or factors for him to jump to such a conclusion. So maybe the situation is they went back out there to go see the fireworks like they planned on doing at 8, 9, or 10 o'clock. And they came into contact with Nolan. Nolan was pissed off. A fight ensued. He died. And then they did all the rest of that shit by contacting his mother to cover their tracks.